It's Algebra 2, test number 13. We got through 6.1, where we did properties of exponents. A lot of properties of exponents in the first 19. The first one is 7.6 to the 0 power. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. 2 to the negative 4th power. Remember, anything to the negative power, all it means is that it's going to ride the elevator. It's at the top. Since it's over 1, it goes down. It becomes 1 over 2, now to the positive 4th power. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. 1 over 16 for number 2. 3a to the negative 6, h to the 6. It doesn't matter if that's a, h, or b. I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. Let's say it's h for now. The only thing right here, though, that is being raised to a negative exponent is a. Negative exponent's a. So everything's over 1. So the only thing that has to go down is a to the negative 6. So 3 stays on the top. H to the positive 6 stays on the top. And a to the negative 6 comes down and becomes to the positive 6. That's how it's supposed to look. 3h to the 6th over a to the 6th. Same thing with number 4. The only thing that's being raised to a negative exponent is c. It's going to go up to the top. You always want the 10 to be first, the coefficient to be first. Then c comes up top, and it goes from negative 8 to positive 8. D to the 6 doesn't move, so it stays right there, just like 10 didn't move. Again, the first 19 problems are all fast like this. 5 to the negative 3rd times 8 to the 0. Again, anything to the 0 is 1, so you have 5 to the negative 3rd. Remember, it's over 1. Anything to a negative exponent rides the elevator down. So what you have is times 1, because 8 is times 1. I'm sorry, 8 to the 0 is times 1. 1 over, when it goes down, 5 becomes the positive 3rd. So 1 over 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 1 would simply be 1 over 125. Number 6, all have the same base, 11, 11, and 11. Remember, when you're multiplying bases, you add exponents. 11 to the 2 plus a negative 3 is the same thing as minus 3, so you don't have to write it as plus or negative. Just write it as minus, plus 10. So 11, 2 minus 3 is negative 1, plus 10 is going to be 11, and we're going to leave it just like this, to the 9th power. If you do 11 times itself 9 times, you get a great big number. 4.31, the same base. Add the exponents since you're multiplying the same bases. So 4.31, negative 6 plus 7 is going to be 4.31 to the 1st power, which simplifies to 4.31. Number 8 says a to the 3rd times 4a to the 6th. There you go. You're multiplying same bases, a and a. If you look at the coefficient that's not shown right there, you multiply 1 times 4 and you get 4. Multiplying the same bases, a and a, you get a to the 3 plus 6, which is going to be 4a to the 9th. Multiply the bases again. 7 times 6 is 42. Then you're doing the same bases, x and x. So x to the negative 8 plus 3 is going to be 42. X to the negative 5th. Remember, you can't leave a negative exponent. Everything's over 1. The only thing that's being raised to a negative exponent is x, this one here. So 42 is going to stay on top right where it is. This is going to go down on the elevator. X to the negative 5th becomes x to the positive 5th. Multiply your bases. 5 times 5 times 6. 5 times 5 is 25. And 6 quarters is $1.50. So 150. Then multiply your same bases, x to the 5th and x to the 3rd. Notice that's y, not x for the second one. So you have x to the 5 plus 3, and then y, I guess that says to the 3rd, huh? Y to the 3rd. If it's a 5 or a 3, whatever it is, just leave it like that. Okay, we'll say it's a 5. Either way, we're not going to manipulate it after the first one. So if you call it 5 or you call it 3, just keep it like that. Let's say it's 5 for right now, though. So the only other thing we got to do, we'll leave 150, and we'll add x to the 5 plus 3 is x to the 8. Y to the 5th is what we called it, and that's a simplified answer. Number 11 says p to the 6th to the 3rd. Okay, you're raising a power to a power. You're not adding them anymore. Now is when you're going to multiply them. P to the 6th times 3 is p to the 18th. This is what I was telling y'all the last couple of days. Variables are a whole lot easier to deal with exponents than integer numbers. 0 times 9, so that gives you x to the 0, which is 1. 2 times 7 is times x to the 14th. So 1 times x to the 14th is simply x to the 14th. You don't have to write the 1 in front of it. For the next one, you have to make sure you distribute the 4 to 2 to the 4th, and to g to the 3rd, you multiply it times 4. So 2 to the 4th, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. G to the 3 times 4 is g to the 12th. Now you got division. 2 to the 4th over 2 squared. Same basis, 2 and 2. Subtract the exponents. Remember, division goes with subtraction. 2 to the 4 minus 2 is 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Number 15, again, same basis. You're dividing. Division goes with subtraction. K to the 9 minus 3 is k to the 6. Same thing with number 16, except you're going to get a negative. D, you divide in the same ones. D to the 3 minus 7 is d to the negative 4. We can't leave it like that. Can never leave a negative exponent. Everything's over 1. Make it ride the elevator. It goes down. Remember, 1 is going to stay at the top, because if you leave it as nothing or 0 at the top, when you divide that by 0 by something, it's going to be 0. D to the negative 4th is going to go down, and when it goes down, it becomes to the positive 4th. Same basis again, 11 and 11. 7 and 9, you're going to do 11 to the 7 minus 9, which is 11 to the negative 2. Again, same thing as number 16. It's got to ride the elevator down. When it goes down, 1 stays on top. 11 squared is on the bottom. 11 times 11, 1 over 121. '18 says m to the 5th, n to the negative 10 over m to the 16th, n to the negative 17th. Same basis, m and m. M to the 5 minus 16 is m to the negative 11. N and n. N to the negative 10 minus negative 17. Don't forget there's minus a negative there. Remember, subtraction goes with division. That becomes plus for that. Negative 10 plus 17 is going to be n to the positive 7. So right here you have m to the negative 11th, n to the 7th. Everything's over 1. You can't leave this negative exponent. It's got to go down. N to the 7th stays put. It don't go anywhere. M to the negative 11th goes down and becomes positive 11. And then number 19, you have m over 2 to the 4th. Both of them are going to get raised to the 4th power. M to the 4th over 2 to the 4th. So m to the 4th is going to stay like that. 2 to the 4th, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. M to the 4th over 16. And that was all of the new stuff from this week. Number 20 tells you to graph this inequality, this quadratic inequality. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, this is a long one, it's probably going to take the rest of part 1. The first thing we need to do is we need to find what x is. Remember, x, we have two formulas. X is negative b over 2a, and all of that, just negative b over 2a. I always get it confused with c. So negative b, remember this is ax squared plus bx plus c. Negative 1 is going to be, x's value is going to be positive 1. Negative is positive, over 2 times a's value is negative 1. So x's value equals a positive 1 over a negative 2, which is negative 1/2. Here is your x value, which is also your axis of symmetry. So when we graph this inequality, if here is 1, this is negative 1/2 right here. We're going to have ourselves, our x value is our axis of symmetry. From there, we want to find the y value to have the vertex. We need to have how high up that line it's going to be, how high up the y-axis. So remember, f of x, you always treat that as if it says y. Y, and we treat it right now as if it says equals. Y equals negative x, and we just found the new value of x squared, minus x again, plus 1. Move all of that over. Okay, so we have y equals negative, and then we have a new value for x. We just found it, negative 1/2, so it's negative negative, minus, again, negative 1/2, plus 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our exponents. We're going to square that first. Negative 1/2 times negative 1/2. We know a negative times a negative is going to be a positive value. So we have positive 1 over 2 times 2 is 4. There's still a negative right there, though. Negative 1/4 is what it's going to become. This is going to be a negative times a negative for this next one, which is going to make it a positive 1/2 plus 1. So y equals all of that. So what we wind up having for this one, we almost finish up finding what y is. The rest of them are going to be a little bit easier. Y equals negative 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 1. Okay, when we combine all those, you want all of your, this is going to be over 1. You want them to have all the same common denominator, so we can make them all into 4. So negative 1/4 is not going to change. 2 times 2 to become 4. This one has to multiply by 2 as well, so plus 2 over 4. And this one has to multiply by 4, plus 4 over 4. Now they all have the same denominator. So when we combine those, they all are the same now. 4 stays at the bottom. We're going back to blue real quick. Y equals, 4 is at the bottom. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. And positive 1 plus 4 is going to be 5 over 4. So when x's value for the vertex is negative 1/2, y's value is 5 over 4, or 1 1/4. So if this is 1 and this is 2, 1 1/4 will be approximately right there. That's the vertex. Now, with that being said, we know that this says a negative value of a, so we know this is going to look like that eventually. Okay, so let's get to making it look like that. First thing we want to do is we want to slide over 1 unit, just like before. We're going to use this equation version of y equals negative x squared minus x plus 1. And we're going to plug in the next x value. Let's call the next x value 0. So when x is 0, we can multiply those easy. So x squared, 0 squared minus 0 minus 0. So what that gives you is y equals, when you use all of those, 1. So when x is 0, then y's value, make this red, y's value is going to be 1. So if we slide that same half a unit this way, remember we make it mirror it on that side. So now we got 3 out of our 5 points. We got to make one more point and then mirror it. It's easiest to make positive 1 your next one. We slide one more time. So we'll do that one, and we'll do it with green right here. X equals positive 1. We'll plug it back into that original equation. Y equals negative, and then plug in positive 1 squared minus 1 plus 1. Again, that's why we use 1, because it's easy to multiply. 1 squared is 1. We'll bring this one down. Negative 1 minus 1 plus 1. That's negative 2 plus 1. Y's value will be negative 1 when we slide over that 1 unit. So where x's value is positive 1, y's value is going to be negative 1. There's our 4th point. And again, we can mirror it using our axis of symmetry. We can mirror it on the other side right here. So now we have 5 points that we can draw our parabola. If this was simply a parabola, we could trace them just like this, and we would be done. But it's not simply a parabola. Just like an equation and an inequality are not the same, this is an inequality quadratic. So what we want to do is we want to determine, is it going to be a solid line or dashed line? We can see based on a sign that it says less than or equal to. That means just like when you're graphing linear equations, it's going to be a solid line. So we can trace them just like we had them traced a second ago, and we'll make it show a parabola. But again, there's one more thing we got to do. We have to either shade everything inside the parabola, or we got to shade everything outside the parabola. We have to determine which one we want to shade based on the truth value of one point that's not on the line. The one point that's not on the line, we always want to try to use 0, 0 if we can. The only time you can't use it is if it actually falls on the line itself. So what we want to do is we just want to take that original inequality again. Y, remember f of x just means y, is less than or equal to negative x squared minus x plus 1. And we want to plug in those values, 0 in place of y and 0 in place of x. So 0 is less than or equal to 0 squared minus 0 is still going to be 0. We'll plug it in right here too. Minus 0 plus 1. And we have an equation that says 0 is either less than or equal to, when we put all of this together, 1. You want to check the truth value of that. If that's true, then everything on the same side of that 0, 0 is true as well. Therefore, we're shading everything inside of the parabola. And this is the correct answer after all of that time.